Episode 215 of the Bevan Eyles Show, an interview with legendary personal trainer Gene Scott. Rightio team, welcome along to episode 215 of the Bevan Eyles Show, your fortnightly podcast on the behaviours that create a lifetime love of fitness so you can get the benefits that come alongside it. Well, I've got a pretty cool interview coming up today. So there's a lady I've worked with for years, a lady by the name of Gene Scott. And Gene Scott is a role model in the fitness industry for many, many reasons. Is a very, very successful personal trainer. Locally, is just one of the iconic names within my region, but she even made it to the World Personal Training Finals. They have this kind of annual thing, and I think they chose 10 personal trainers in the world, and Jean got to go. They flew her to the other side of the world, and she went into this final. So she was recognised as one of the top 10 personal trainers in the world, and this is by one of the governing bodies of health and fitness. So you're dealing with someone who's just a pretty high level here, and there's lots to like about Jean because obviously, she understands what it helps to create change for people around health and fitness. I really respect Jean because she always has a sense of responsibility to the industry. She's always given back and always helped develop new people in the industry. And as a person, she's someone who's always grown herself. She's achieved a lot of athletic challenges. She took up painting as a hobby, and I remember when she first started, she showed me some of her first paintings, and that was probably 10-15 years ago, and now I see her paintings now, and she's just evolved into quite an amazing painter, and she just understands the importance of self-growth. And so I just really wanted to get her on the show because it's one of those people who has the kind of the pieces of paper to tell you that she knows what she's doing, but B just has a lifetime of experience. And so I kind of contacted her over the weekend and said, Jen, I'd love to get you on the show, and she was keen, so I'm going to be putting it on pretty soon. Now, I'm going to be honest, I'm recording this part way earlier than when I'm actually going to be interviewing her, so I haven't actually done the interview yet. So the beginning and the outro of today's show is, I haven't actually spoken to Jean, but I can guarantee you guys are going to get a lot from my interview with Jean. I'm actually not going to spend much time on many other things right now, other than just I'm loving the Olympics. I don't know if you're like me, but I'm a big fan of sport. I think sport has the ability to grow us and develop us and in many powerful ways, but watching the elite of the elite. And one thing I always love to talk about is how you just don't get how amazing Olympians are. And the analogy I often will do with my runners is just say, look at how fast these guys are running 5K in, or these females are running 5K in, and go on a treadmill, or even the marathon time. Think of the marathon time. Jump on a treadmill. These guys are running basically 21 Ks an hour for around 2 hours. When you think about that, jump on a treadmill, see how long you last. Now, 90% of the population wouldn't even be able to go that speed. 10% can last, minutes, and these guys are doing it for a marathon. And that's just not marathon running. That's everyone who is at the Olympics. You're just watching the best of the best. I had a friend who got to the Olympics as a long jumper, and I remember her saying how people don't necessarily understand how hard it is just to get to the Olympics. And, when you're watching the Olympics, just take a moment to appreciate how great these people, even the people who get like last in the heats, these people are rock star athletes, and, that just to get to that level. And then you go to actually win an Olympic gold medal is such a hard thing. So I just love watching the Olympics because it's one of those moments in life where you get to watch the absolute excellence in humanity and in all the different sports we get to watch. So the thing about me with the Olympics is I'm always pretty much written off over that period of time because I get so tired because I just end up watching a lot of Olympics. The next 2 weeks are a write-off in my life, but it's a write-off I'm willing to make because I love the Olympics. Before I get into my interview with Jean, I just want to say a big thank you to the patrons of the show. These are the people who support the show each time I release an episode. They donate some of their hard-earned money my way, and when they do, they get a cool nickname, and some of these people are Libby, Olin, Hilda. Libby's really funny. She runs in my running group, and she's a Libby is hard, man. Like Libby's a tough bugger, but she's not the fastest runner in our group. And whenever we do a track session, she always tries to take on our fastest runner, Gareth, for one of the starts. And this morning she took off and she she beat him to the first corner. And I say Olympic gold for Libby, and her nickname's quite appropriate, All In, because when Libby does something, it's never half pie. We've got Rebecca Bullseye Spears. We've got Bernadette Soul Caliber Parry. We've got Mac Forrest Warhol Ackhurst. Holly the Go-Getter Woodhouse. And then we've also got Sue, the only way up is Chisel. These people support the show. If you want to support the show, just go to bevanjameseyles.com. Click on podcast, click on support the show, and then go through the process from there. Anyway, let's get straight into my interview with Jane Scott, the legendary personal trainer. Right, Tim, I'm pretty happy to have a bit of a legend in the game, a lady by the name of Jane Scott. She's been in the industry for over 30 years. Let's just go right from day one, Jane. How did it start for you?
Well, as a very young girl, my sister took me into Les Mills, and it was of the days where you sort of did your aerobics with jazzercise with, no shoes, and you wore your leotard. And so I had, crazy leotard, no shoes. And I looked at the instructors and I thought, I could do this. I could do this. So I went and got myself all trained up, and then I got myself a boom box and my push bike, and I put my boom box on the back of my push bike, and I biked off to the Rickerton Town Hall, and I took my very first aerobics class.
Wow.
For a couple of people, and I just loved it. I just loved the whole moving music and being able to help people find their purpose and their passion. And from there, I then went. I did aerobics at QE2. They had quite a big aerobics studio there, and so I went there and freelanced. And then from there, I went to World Gym. And of course, Bevan, you know me. I speak my mind and say what I think, whether it be the right thing or the wrong thing. But the gym was in a bit of strife at that time, and the franchise owner had come into the facility to try and sort it out. And so, me not being backward at coming forward, told him a few things that he could do to help the business, and just basically said, you've got a great little business here, but it's just not working with how you're running it. Anyway, he offered me the position of manager.
Oh, wow.
So basically said, put your money where your mouth is. And so I thought about it. At that stage, I was working for Countdown. I'd been working for Countdown for 10 years, and I was working in the butchery department there. And I was in a position where I did lots of training all around the country as a meat packer in the butchery. And it's fair to say I was earning a fairly good money. My hours were really good. Started at 6 a.m, got paid till 3 or 4, but most days we were finished by 1 or 2, and we were still getting paid. So it was a big decision to make. So anyway, Derek and I decided that, yep, let's roll with this. And so I went there as manager, and I was there for over 10 years as a manager. But my role as a manager, I was a creche worker, I was the cook, I was the cleaner, I did gym programs, I was the aerobics instructor, I was the aerobics coordinator. So, I did absolutely everything. And by the time I left there, the business was pumping. And, we had the most amazing community of people. And I still have people come up to me today and go, "You're Jane Scott. You used to manage World Gym, and I remember when we were there, we did this." And yeah, so quite a number of the people that we have in at Les Mills are people that were with me when I was at World Gym.
Wow.
And interestingly enough, one of my personal training clients that was with me at World Gym is currently still with me.
Wow.
So he's been a client of mine for over 30 years.
Wow.
It's amazing.
Why did you leave World Gym?
I love to get things started and moving, but also need stimulation. So I'm always looking for something that's going to create that excitement inside me so that I continue doing what I'm doing. And I got to a point there, the gym was very successful. I was surrounded by amazing humans, and I had taken up bodybuilding, and I had done a few events and had decided I'd gone where I could go as far as, physique and stuff goes there. So then I started organising events, and then I was a judge for the New Zealand Federation of Bodybuilders. I took some men to the men's world, so I went to the women's worlds with the ladies, and I'd done all these things, and the gym was successful, and it's like I'd started doing personal training, and I just wanted to put more effort and energy into personal training. And I thought, to be successful in this industry, you need to go to the best place. And the best place was Les Mills. And so I rang Maureen Baker and asked Maureen Baker if there is a position there as a gym instructor. Start at the bottom, work your way up. And basically, Maureen said, no, you can come here as a personal trainer. And so I went to Les Mills. So it was just a progression, really, a progression of life, I suppose. The gym was World Gym was in really good hands with the staff that were there. Young guy by the name of Mike Debenham. He took over managing of the gym, and then he bought the gym eventually, and then sold it on to Total Fitness in those days. And so then I worked for quite a number of years at Les Mills as a personal trainer. It was probably one of the hardest things I ever did, actually, was going from World Gym to Les Mills, because it's probably for the first 6 months, nobody really spoke to me.
Oh, really?
No, because, in those days, you were competing, even though you're not competing, but, the other personal trainers saw me as competition. And so, I like to create a little bit of noise and let people know that I'm there. And so when I did that, I was quite rowdy, and I laughed a lot with my clients, and I was visibly a little bit different because I carried a little blue shopping basket with towels and water bottles and bits and pieces for my clients, because that's personal, so I carry their bits and pieces and fill their water bottles up. And so, all of a sudden you've got this woman that nobody knows has come into the gym, and she's doing all this amazing stuff called personal training. And so the first 6 months were really tough, but then people started to get used to me and my personality, and I was really successful as a personal trainer right off the bat, and I know clients that I had there and I still stay in touch with now, so with personal training, as some clients stay with you and some clients move on depending on situation, jobs and so forth. And so, it was a good move though. But it was a really good move. But I think back to my days when I was working for Countdown, because I worked there for a long time as well. But that gave me a lot of skills that I've actually taken into my work life now. So it was pretty awesome. And I stayed full time at Les Mills up until 18 years ago when I had my daughter. And and then I pretty much had 6 months off, and then I sort of went back part time. And so now I personal train from my own studio at home, and I just do RPM for Les Mills.
So there's lots of questions here. So the first question, I think, because a lot of people who maybe aren't into exercise or struggle with exercise, I've got lots of questions for you, but you built World Gym up and you talked about how you build a community and stuff. Like when you think about people trying to choose fitness options, what should they be looking for? And there's probably two ways of looking at this is when they're choosing the type of facility they're going to choose, and then the leaders they're going to choose to help guide them along their way. What do you think are some of the key things they should be looking for in regards to the facility and just the one or the like the PT or coach they want to use?
Yeah. I think that the first thing that people need to be aware of is you need to do something that you enjoy. And don't just do exercise or movement because you think you've got to do it,
Mm,
and because everybody else is doing it. Find that little thing that actually spins your wheels, makes you feel good, and go back to when you're at school. What did you do? What sort of movement did you do that you really enjoyed? Did you enjoy running around? Because we all had to run around the school grounds. Did you enjoy that? No. Well, then don't go and do that stuff.
mm,
Like find the stuff that actually um, makes you feel good, and enables you to put a smile on your face. And so when you're looking at a facility, you want to walk into a facility and you want to feel the warmth of that facility. Like you want it to be a greeting. Like you walk in the door and you go, oh man, this place is really nice. I like the colors, I like the colors in the walls, or, it just gives you a really nice feeling. And, I suggest to people go and walk through the different doors of the different facilities. I mean, because, gyms are like a dairy now. There's one on every corner,
mm,
so it's like
yeah.
go in and see what that vibe is, and see what the people are like. Because, I mean, there's, it is about finding your community, and a place that makes you feel good, that you want to go to. Because otherwise, if you're doing something because you think you have to do it, then you're going to pay the money, but you're not actually going to go.
Yeah.
But you're going to pay the money.
Mm,
So, I would encourage people to walk into different facilities and try them. Try the boxing, try the circuit training, or the different forms of activity out there, yoga, tai chi. There's just so much out there,
mm,
that just got to open yourself to it and go and do a trial. Go and try the different gym classes. And I think very, very quickly you will know whether a place feels right for you or not. And then the other thing that I also think is really important is people just need to move, and but they also need to be very mindful that what they do now will affect their life, and years to come. So, there's lots of stuff out there that is like really high intensity, really high impact. Uh, Perhaps some of the coaches aren't as good as they should be. And so, you want to go where they're actually going to look after your welfare, but also keep you safe. So you want to
mm.
go with good coaches, not just with, people that are going to yell and scream. And yeah, like motivation is really important, but actually you want to be performing the exercises correctly, and correctly for you. So you need to know that the people that you're working with actually know what they're doing.
Mm. And what about with a personal trainer? Because like a lot of people investing in a personal trainer is a big investment, but it's a big commitment as well. It's interesting. My daughter, she was always healthy, but never really an active,
Mm.
like a sporty kid as such. And she's just turned 24. She lives in Australia now. She's just got into the gym buzz and she's really loving it. But she's got a young personal trainer, this young girl who she just loves, and it's just. And she said to me recently, I joined the gym and I was kind of a bit half-assed, and then I just thought I'll commit to this personal trainer, and you just seen my daughter thriving with fitness, and she's loving it. And obviously, this young personal trainer she's working with, and is tapped into my daughter to help her go to another level. And so, what is it that great personal trainers have that maybe because it's a world where there's a massive turnover, massive failure rate. There's lots of people who think they love exercise but don't necessarily know how to help people be great with exercise. So, you're obviously pretty great yourself, but just that insight that you have and what a good PT has and what people should be looking for.
Yeah. Um, Primarily, a good PT needs to be somebody that is prepared to actually listen to what their clients are saying to them. And so right from the get-go, um, all personal trainers should be doing a pre-screen and health questionnaire with their clients. So if you're going to see a personal trainer and they start training you and they haven't actually done a pre-screen, actually delved into your family history, your medical, any medical conditions and stuff, then you don't want to be training with them, because it's really important that the trainer knows that the health wealth of the person that they're working with. And I always talk about health wealth, because what we do is enhancing our health wealth to enable us to be in our 70s, 80s, and 90s and to still be able to move. So your trainer needs to be someone that actually cares about your health wealth and will be able to give you the tools to enable you to be able to enhance that over time. And they need to be good listeners, but they also need to be prepared to go fishing and ask more questions as well, because it's about building rapport with your client. And so what this young lady that's working with your daughter, she would have built a rapport with your daughter, and she would have asked you all sorts of questions, probably about her background, her schooling, what she liked, what she didn't like. She's probably asked questions about family. What do your family do? What's dad do? What's mum do? And she'll be building this rapport with you. And then at the same time, she's starting to get a real insight as to how this girl ticks and, what she likes, what she doesn't like. And so then when she's working with you in the gym environment or outside the gym environment, she's actually doing stuff with you that she knows that will enable her to enhance her health wealth or achieve the goals that she wants, but is also giving her that sense of pride and well-being, because she's been really successful with what it is that she's doing. And so her coach will be saying, hey, Taylor, you're doing such an awesome job. Like, you think 6 weeks ago you were doing this, you come in the door and you were doing, let's say, for instance, you could run on the treadmill for 10 minutes. So now you're running on the treadmill for, 20 minutes, and your posture is so good, and, your shoulders are back, and you actually look like you're really enjoying yourself, so this is great. And so a good trainer is always doing stuff like that. But then, like I've got a client that comes to me. He's been coming to me for years. I see him once a fortnight for 30 minutes. And he comes in and we talk about books and we talk about movies, and I get him moving while he's doing it. And we laugh and we chat, and, and I growl at him and say, it'd be so much easier if you would, get on your bike and go out biking in the weekends, or do a little bit more movement during the week. And he goes, yeah, right, Jean. And I know full well that he's not going to. He knows he's not going to, but we have this banter going on. And I think, I really make a difference in that man's life, because I've actually, even though he's paying to come and see me as a trainer, I actually take an interest in him and what he's doing, and, ask about his family and stuff. And I might be the only person in his life that does that, other than his family, his sisters. And yeah, so, a really good personal trainer is a lot of things. So it's not necessarily just about what it is that you're getting them to do. It's not the program. It's the bigger picture.
So you're building a relationship which ultimately has a lot of trust in it, and that caring enough to show the understanding that can help guide them and give them what they need based on where they are.
Yeah, and then also is being prepared to refer them on to another allied health professional if necessary, because unfortunately we see all sorts of people, and sometimes it's a matter of saying, oh, actually I think you need to go and speak to this person. And then I'll quite often ring them and say, I've got a client, would you be able to help them, and whatever. whether it's a dietitian, a physio, acupuncture, a psychologist. Yeah, so.
Well, in regards to one thing I've always admired about you, Jean, is that you've always had this sense of responsibility to the bigger whole. You've always committed a lot of your time and energy to the governing bodies, bodybuilding with New Zealand Fitness. There's a real sense of giving back. You've got a very successful business. You could just be quite selfish and just kind of work on your own business. Well, not that it's selfish, because you're having massive impact on your communities. But where does it come from, and why do you think it's so important to you?
It's an interesting question. When we were growing up, my father passed away when I was really quite young.
Okay.
I was only 8, and my mum brought myself and my 3 siblings up pretty much by herself. But our neighbourhood was a real community. So the whole community would go to the park. So we had a park just across the road from us. And so the children from next door across the road, around the street, we'd all get to the park and we'd play softball or rugby, or we'd go and steal apples from the orchard, or play barbador, climb trees, fight with each other, do all that stuff that children don't do today.
Yeah.
But we had a real community of all sorts of ages, different backgrounds, and quite often we'd end up having children for dinner. So the neighbours would be playing, and it's like, right, it's dinner time. All right, well, who's staying for dinner? And it, like mum would just feed whoever was there. They always called mum Auntie Rachel, and we called our neighbours Auntie June. And so it would just always be doing this stuff. If you're at the neighbours and it was lunchtime, and then they would make you a banana sandwich. And if they're at our place on a Saturday night, well, they'd stay and they'd watch a movie with us, and you just ring next door and let them know that the children were here. And I think it is just from that, and I truly believe that if you put out in the universe, then the universe will look after you. And I, with the industry, I think that the more we give back to the industry, and the more we share with our peers, the better the industry will be. So I've just started in the last couple of years. I work for Schools Active. Well, I contract Schools Active, and I spend a lot of time sitting in front of my computer watching videos of students doing personal training. So doing a health questionnaire, pre-screen, fitness testing, and then they from that they do goals and barriers and solutions, and then they write a summary of that, and then they prescribe a program for that person that they're working with. And then I look at their program, and then I might ask them questions about their program, and I'm just asking them for validation around why they've done what they've done, or why they've given those exercises. I'm not saying it's right or wrong, but validate as to why you've done this. And then they take these their clients into the gym, and they take them through their programs. And so I sit there, and there's a criteria that I work with, and I assess them, and they have to do this 4 times with 4 different people in the first part of their course. And I give them feedback on what it is that they're doing with their clients. And of course, I'm giving them feedback on personal training as well. It's like, you're working with your client. You need to make eye contact with your client. Stop flapping that bit of paper around and waving your arms around and not looking at your client, because that's not personal training. And so I just love giving that stuff to these students. And then you watch them with number 1 client, and then you see them with number 4 client. It's like, wow, what a amazing change, and it just makes me feel good. I just love it.
So you get a lot of reward from seeing the development of somebody.
Oh yeah, definitely. And it's the same with the clients that I work with as well.
What about when you get someone who's you can't crack, or at least it's a real hard struggle to crack? Like they come to you because they know they need to change. But yeah, they've got the barrier up from day one. How do you work with someone like that? And if you have been successful, what's worked? Because there are a lot of people who they know they should do fitness. The doctors said get into fitness, and but they kind of come to you saying, I'm not going to enjoy this. I'm not going to like it. Maybe not consciously, but subconsciously, that's what the message
Yeah.
is.
I think with sometimes with those people, they start with you and they are challenging. They are challenging because they don't really want to be there, or their personality is not gelling with yours. And I get on with most people, but every now and then there is, like you say, there is that hard nut to crack.
Mm.
And you do your best.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's just that person's not the right fit for you, and maybe they may be better suited to somebody else to be working with, another trainer, or like I've worked with people that I've referred to other trainers because that other trainer may have a niche for a particular type of training that person requires. Yeah, so and I do have quite a big network of trainers that I know from working the stuff that I do within the industry, and so it is easy to refer people on, but it's also at the same time I can use that network of trainers to actually chat about this client that I may have that I'm struggling with. What can I do? How can I deal with this person? What would your recommendations be? So, and I quite often do that with other trainers as well. So, I might catch up with a trainer and go for a walk around Hagley Park, and we'll just chat about stuff we're doing and clients we're working with and scenarios that are happening, and we just bounce ideas off each other. Or I used to do a round table where I'd get half a dozen trainers all together, and we would just sit around the table and talk about our businesses and things that are going really, really well in our businesses, and perhaps something that's a little bit challenging that you can sort of throw it out there to all the other trainers to have a chat about. Yeah.
Well, the one thing, you've got the nickname Mean Gene. I know that's when you're teaching, you kind of set high expectations. But as a PT, when do you get that balance right of having to have the hard conversation with someone when they are just not pulling socks up, if you know what I mean? Because it is sometimes we do have to have the hard conversation. And I go back to what you said earlier is this, you understand, you've built empathy and trust, so they'll probably know you're coming from the right place. But how do you manage that? Because a lot of people don't like to have the hard conversation. I know you're quite comfortable with it, but what allows you to be comfortable with it, and how do you approach those times?
I think that comes back to having that trust with the people that you're working with. And, like I have a few groups that I work with, and I've got a couple of groups of girls, and then I've got another group that's a mix of girls and boys. And so I'm working with them as a group. And so, like, for instance, I had a session this morning at 9 o'clock. So there's 5 girls, and we do in blocks of 6 weeks. And so I've tried all sorts of ways of getting them to do goals and achieve the goals that they're after, and sometimes it's a little bit challenging, but so I change things all the time. And so I'd give them at the start of the 6 weeks, I'd give them a goal setting sheet and just say their goal for the 6 weeks, or if they want it further out, they can, and then they break it down to something that they're going to do every week, and then the barriers to achieving these goals, and then the solutions, and how important is it that they achieve these goals. And so ideally you want them to say 10, 1 to 10, and if they say anything less than 10, it's like, well, really, is that the goal that you want? And so what I've been doing with this particular group is each week I say, what are your goals for this week? And so, for instance, 2 of them this morning was to get to the gym 3 times. One of them was to walk the dog 2 times. Another one was, what was it? The gym, the dogs. Oh, I can't remember what the other one was. But then I make them accountable, but I also make them accountable in front of everybody else as well. And I say, so how did you go with the alcohol-free days last week? 4. Awesome. That is great, because the week before it was 3. So 4 is fantastic.
Yeah.
So I celebrate that stuff. And then my dog walker is like, how many times did you walk the dog? Once. And I says, that's awesome. Let's aim for 2 this week. And so, so I'm talking to them. I'm talking goals to them all the time. And I'm also talking goals to them all the time. I'm also talking about stuff to look after themselves. So it's like talking to them about their hydration, about their food. And I might be having a conversation with you, but there are those other 4 people in the room sharing in that conversation, so I'm making them accountable, not only to me, but to the others as well. And then, and sometimes I suppose it's the tone of voice that I might use, like when I'm having a serious, it's like, oh, actually, if you're really serious, Bevan, about achieving this goal, then you actually need to start doing some of this stuff. Stop doing the lip service to it. And so I have those conversations as well.
And why are you comfortable doing that? Because a lot of, no one likes to have confrontational conversation, but I get what you're saying is that you set up systems which create awareness, and sometimes you do it in a group way, which kind of creates a good, healthy social pressure to help them kind of, want to turn up and have done the work they're meant to do. But a lot of people want to say that thing, but don't say it. So why do you feel you're comfortable doing that?
I think I genuinely care about that person.
Nice.
And I'm doing it from a place of really wanting them to achieve what it is that they're after. But more importantly, I really want them to be happy.
Yeah. So because I care, I can give tough love.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Great.
Yeah.
Really
And
interesting.
but I always do it, and I don't do it in a way that I'm being nasty or I'm just wanting to be a bit of a smart ass.
Yeah.
It's not like that. It's like, I genuinely care about you.
It's not about your ego, is it? It's not about me,
No.
It's purely I'm coming from a place of actually you need this right now to have some awareness and to make decisions.
Yeah, and you get to make those choices ultimately. And if you're happy with where you're at, that's great. Then the stuff doesn't matter. But if you're not happy with where you're at, then you actually need to do something about it. Yeah. And these are the things that you can start doing that can make an impact in your life.
Yeah,
and it's the simple things.
Well, but we need that person in our life, don't we? Because I think deep down a lot of people know when they're dropping the ball, but they don't have to confront it. And so they kind of accept a lower level. And then when someone does just kind of say, hey, what's up? Why is this happening? You kind of have to confront it, and often that leads to change. And so it's important, and if you're investing in a personal trainer or someone to help guide you, that's kind of, you're saying, I want you to be that role, but a lot of people are afraid to do it. And I like how you say it comes from a place of caring for them and actually wanting to help make the change they want.
Yeah, most definitely.
Yeah. One thing is, you've been in the game for a long time. You've been in the fitness industry for 30 years, so you kind of, like myself, we're kind of getting to later stages in our fitness life. What are the keys to being successful with movement as we age, from your experience?
You've got to be a little bit kind to yourself. And you've got to know your body, and you've got to listen to your body. And you've got to look after it, because it's only one body, and when it's wrecked, it's wrecked. So there's lots of craziness out there as far as movement and exercise goes, and I think you've got to try and get a balance. So I over the years I've done heavy resistance training, as said, done bodybuilding. I've played team sports, football, softball, touch rugby. I've run marathons. I've done cycling races. I've done lots of hiking. And the only thing that I probably haven't done a lot of is the water sports, because I don't really like the water that much.
Yeah.
If you're hot, you get in the water and you get out again. But I love the cardiovascular exercise. I like how it makes me feel after it, not necessarily during. But over the years, I'm now a qualified, certified yoga teacher. And I think, I sort of balance it out. I still cycle at least 3 times a week. And, on a Sunday, it's, 60 Ks. I still run 3 times a week. And generally it's about 9.5 Ks that I run when I run. And every now and then do a little bit of resistance training. I laugh about it because I said to my husband the other day, well, I did my 10 minutes of resistance training in the gym today. And he's like, 10 minutes, really? And I'm like, yeah, 10 minutes of shoulder press and chest press, and, this, as I just fly through it all in 10 minutes, it's over. And, I practice yoga 3 times a week. I walk the dogs. So I do a lot of movement in my week, and I balance it up with having variety in what I do. And so
has it been hard? Because, like you're a bit like me, like I know you when you train, you don't like to piss around, and you and I are very similar. That like the workout, I know when you and I would sit next to each other in RPM, we're here to train. That's kind of always our thing.
Yeah.
And in some areas, I imagine like on a bike, you can probably still smash it out, whereas running maybe not so intense. So how do you learn to accept where I can push and where I can't push, or is that how you do it?
Yeah, I mean, sometimes I have to have that stern talk to myself and tell myself to pull my finger out of my bottom and get moving, get uncomfortable, because sometimes you go through the motions. I try not to go through the motions, but every now and then I'm like anybody else. Sometimes I struggle to get out the door. I procrastinate for quite some time, and then I get myself out the door, and it's like, you should have done this hours ago. Like I went for a run this morning at 7:15. It was pitch black, but I had a torch around my chest so I could see where I was going. And I have this run around the duck park, and it was a stunning morning. I knew last night that I was going to run at 7:15. So I had a client from 6 to 6:30. My 6:30 client had a breakfast meeting, so I didn't see him. So I had my running gear on under my work clothes. And so I came inside, said good morning to my husband, got my torch, got my watch, and out the door I went. It's fair to say that my run was probably 2 minutes slower today. So I sort of keep an eye on the finish time to make sure that I'm on task.
You're honest.
And it was 2 minutes slower, but I'm running on a track. And for those people that do know me well, know that I fall over quite a lot.
Okay.
I just get into a trance and I just fall over.
Yeah.
So I was very mindful of where I was putting my feet and where I was, running. So, and then I got home and sort of had my boiled eggs and my second shower for the day, and it's not even 8:30. And so I try and balance it up, Bevan, and I'm just like anybody else, like yourself too, probably, is that when I go biking, actually if I want to be really honest with myself and my workouts, I do it with somebody else. So like I go biking with a guy on Sundays, and I always talk to my husband about the game, because we bike from Redwood to Sumner up Evans Pass. And if I can stay close to the guy I'm riding with, I'm doing pretty good. But if I can get past him, which I've only ever done it twice, have got past him and got to the top of Evans Pass before him, and it's like, yeah, I won that one. I got that. And there's this one time I blitzed him, and I was so excited. I was so excited. And then he told me he wasn't feeling that well. I'm like, really? And then the other week, I got past him, and I was biking up the hill, and we're only about 2 meters from the top. And I was like, I was just about dying. And then he starts talking to me from behind. And I thought, oh, no, he's going to beat me. Anyway, it was a real gentleman, and he sat in behind me and just made me grind a little bit harder to stay in front of him. So when I go out riding with him on a Sunday,
Nice.
it's
So when you do want to
workout.
push hard, you kind of create an environment which will bring it out of you.
Yep.
Yeah, totally.
And so every now and then I go and do an event so that I run hard.
Yeah, totally. It just brings that honesty, doesn't it? You've got your daughter, and she's doing really well in life. But kids' fitness is a big concern.
Yep.
When we look at what's, it's definitely more challenging with devices and the way kids kind of socialize and act nowadays. But it's also a massive problem moving forward. Just your thoughts on kids' fitness and what, as adults and parents, we should be thinking about to actually create that foundation of our kids' loving movement for life.
Yeah. Well, half the problem there, Bevan, is that the parents don't move. So the parents don't move, so the children don't move, because it's learned behavior. Like listening to you talk about your daughter. My daughter has also joined a gym. She joined Les Mills when she was still at school here, and now she's living in Melbourne at Performing Arts College, and she's joined the gym there, and she sees the importance now to being fit, to being strong, to having strong muscles. She's not worried about how it looks to other people, but for her craft of performing arts, musical theatre, she needs to be able to dance and to sing and to look strong and portray whatever character it is that she's playing. And like all through her childhood, she's seen her mother and her father bike, run, walk, play sports, go to the gym, teach group fitness. So to her, it's just something that you do. But in honesty, it's not something. When she was little, it was not something that she enjoyed. She didn't enjoy playing football. She was quite a good wee footballer, but she didn't really enjoy playing football. If you were to tell her to go run, she'd go, oh no, these legs don't run. Like, she's in lockdown at the moment, and she's worried about her fitness to be able to sing and dance. And so I said to her to go and do some 100-meter sprint repeats. She's like, what? And I said, yeah, and go do a 2K walk, a run just to warm up, get yourself nice and warm, and then go run as hard as you can for 100 meters, and then turn around and get back, have a rest, and repeat again. And I said, start with 5 and build up to 10. And I said, and that will enable you to get that huff and puff going on. And she's like, oh, Mum, really? That's crazy. I said, well, you want to get that huff and puff going on, that'll do it for you, because she can't go to the gym. Yeah, so I think, today she goes to the gym and she can see the importance of what it is that she's doing, but that's a learned behavior from her upbringing with us. And I look at the people that I'm, like my groups that I'm working with that have children, and I encourage them to bring their children to my studio or to our outdoor workouts. Sometimes the children participate, and sometimes they go and play in the park or do whatever. But it's that surrounding them with like-minded people that care about their health wealth. It's not necessarily about how they look, because let's be real. You can be a bigger person and be really unfit. You can be a bigger person and be really fit. You can be a skinny person and be really unfit, or a skinny person and be really, really fit. So it doesn't really matter how you look, but it's really important how you feel.
Yeah, totally. And that's what's really interesting watching my daughter, because she aesthetically is enjoying it. She's starting to look better, but she's, more importantly, and she's actually got a really mature attitude. She's just understanding the value that's bringing to her life other than just the movement, the
Mm.
stress release, the connection, the feeling, the esteem, that overcoming adversity, all that good stuff that fitness brings. And
Yeah.
it's nice for her to actually understand, oh, my life is better if I just do this movement thing.
Yeah.
And sure, and the benefit is I do get to look a little bit better, but she's not really chasing that, which is really important.
Yeah.
One thing I always admire about Eugene is, the thing of, there's lots I admire about you, but this, you've always developed yourself for more than just fitness. And I think of your painting. Like, I remember when you first started painting, you were doing your nudes, I remember
Yeah.
when, and they were pretty basic back in those days. And then I think last year you put something up, I saw a painting you'd done, and I was like, oh my God, this is phenomenal. You've, one of the character traits you seem to have is, I want to always grow in more than one area. Is that fair? And how do you approach that with the other areas of your life, not just fitness?
Yeah. Well, like I say, I haven't actually painted probably for 6 months. But I love painting, and
Mm. You're very good at it now too.
I find it quite relaxing.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. I've been learning te reo,
Okay.
and that challenges my mind, and it challenges me as a person as well, because it's quite hard to learn. But also there are lots of really mixed feelings and emotions out there about te reo and Māori and so forth. And so you, you I battle sometimes with what other people are thinking and what they're saying.
Yep.
But I really enjoy it. And I have started, when our daughter left for Melbourne, I had my little studio inside the house. So I've converted that to my room, which I have my paints and my easel, but I've also got my sewing machine and my overlocker. And so I've started sewing again.
Wow.
And I find that relaxing. And currently at the moment, I'm making shower caps for my clients for Christmas. I know, but they're bright orange and bright pink, and they've got ribbon on them, and they've got lace on them. And yeah, they're all sitting on the floor in there, so I can just close the door because I don't like mess. So I can close the door, and I only go in there when I want to, when I want to sew. But I've also started I'm quite a creative person, so I've got a Thermomix, which so I do lots of making of curries, and I made a sticky date pudding for the first time on Friday night for my husband. And then what I do is I made a cheesecake, and I made a sticky date pudding, and Mum and I like cheesecake, so we had a small piece of cheesecake each, and Derek had some sticky date pudding. And then the next day I chopped it all up and I put it in wee containers, and I put some in the freezer, and I took some to the neighbours. So I make the stuff, and then I take it to the neighbours, and share it with them. So I like to keep myself busy. I like to.
But one thing I like is you're not one dimensional.
No.
Because you see a lot in the fitness industry, don't you? People who are busy, but all they do and know is fitness. And you've kind of, there's many kind of strings to your bow, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. I just think it helps to create a better you.
Yeah, nice.
It just helps to create a better you. And I mean, there's the stuff that we do in life that's fast and furious, and then there needs to be stuff in life that enables you to have that happy medium and that balance.
Yeah.
And I think we're just better people for it.
And it's also that thing of it broadens your perspective on life, doesn't it? Like for me, because I was that one-dimensional fitness instructor, I started at 30, I kind of realized I needed to create a rounded me. And then, that's when I started piano and stuff. And piano's taught me life lessons and things about myself, which fitness could have never taught me. And it makes me a better fitness professional, like it's, it broadens your overall perspective on all things, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. And, and I'm not scared to share all that stuff that I do. So like when I'm teaching RPM and yoga, I'm speaking a lot of te reo in my class, and so I'll do the English, and then I'll say the te reo, and I'll laugh at myself. I do laugh at myself, and I said to my class a couple of weeks ago, I said, Oh, so guess what I've been learning in Te Reo this week? And yes, the body parts. So, we're talking about the ringa and the waiwai, so that's the arms and the legs. And and I, talk about my crazy shower caps and do all that crazy stuff. And then the next minute I'll be going, right, now if you're really serious about getting fitter and stronger, you got to turn that dial up and you got to feel a little bit of discomfort, So, and I think all that stuff enables me to be that person.
Yeah, so you have a sense of trust in self, and that allows me to actually help people more.
Yeah.
Yeah, nice. Hey, Jen, I could talk to you for hours, but we are limited on time. So if people want to follow you, or do you kind of do you website or no?
No, I'm terrible, Bevan. I don't have a website. I do a little bit on Facebook, but I don't really do much on Facebook because I think if people want to know about me, they can ring me and ask me.
Yeah.
I don't do don't share family photos or anything like that on Facebook. I do a little bit for business, but I haven't really been doing that. I have Instagram, but I don't know how to use it. But people can private message me. They can ring me. They can call me up. We can have coffee. We can do the old-fashioned way of communication.
But it's proof, isn't it? Because I think in this industry now, everyone's trying to chase the internet dollar, and it's like, you know what? If you're just a great community leader in your community, you always have a great business.
Yeah.
And you're more than that, but you're a great example of that. You've just got this powerful group of people that philosophy you're trying to spread to your world. You never have to worry about business, do you? And it's.
I mean, you're constantly working with the business and on the business, but like I'm me and I do things my way, and I'm open to change. I'm open to suggestion, and I believe that we're here for a short time, and it needs to be a good time.
Yeah.
And so you got to get out there and be a little bit courageous at times, and be a little bit naughty, and laugh lots, and just enjoy life. And I mean, I spend quite a lot of time at the computer, and it's like I don't need to share my world with people on Facebook and stuff. So one day I might get a website, but
well, it doesn't sound like you really need it. Hey, Jean, thank you so much for your time. I admire what you've done in your career. I love your philosophy and how you, fundamentally, as you're talking, the thing I think that you ultimately has always shown is that you just really care about helping people, and that goes down to you, that even just your blue little kind of carrier you used to have when you used to personal train, was that, what, my service is really important and I want to make sure that people get the best out of me. And it's shown in everything that you do. So you've been an inspiration, and you're just a really important fitness leader in our industry. So thank you for your time and your work.
Thank you so much, Bevan.
No worries, mate. Hey, you're
pretty inspirational in yourself, young man.
Oh, we try.
Yeah. Hey, you have an awesome day, Bev. Lovely chatting to you.
Thanks, mate. Right, Tim, hopefully you enjoyed that little interview with Jean Scott. As I was saying before, I did put the interview on. I'm doing this bit before I've actually done the interview. So while I don't know what we talked about, I'm sure you gained a lot from Jean. She is, someone who I have so much respect for in the fitness industry. Other than that, if you want to support the show, you can become a patron. Go to Bevan James Eyles. You can also get my book, The Fitness Attitude, there, or my 5K running course, which is called My 5K Dream. Just an update on my other book. It's now at the publisher. Exciting times. The release date of my new book is going to be about April next year, 2022. So getting a lot of work done behind the scenes. I'm creating a course that goes alongside the book. It's a lot of work, but I'm pretty excited about what's going to happen there. So anyway, that's pretty much today's show done and dusted. I'll be back in a couple of weeks from now with another Bevan episode. Oh, actually, one other thing. If you're not getting my weekly videos, keep active with Bevan. Either follow me on Instagram. I don't really follow me on Facebook because Facebook doesn't show my stuff. So for some reason, when I put a post on Facebook, no one really sees it. So obviously Facebook doesn't like me, so don't worry about me on Facebook. But if you want to get an email to you, go to keepactivewithbevan.co.nz, put your information in, and then basically I send through like a 6 to 8 minute video every Sunday night, which is a short education thing, kind of like the show, but in a short, impactful way. Anyway, I'll be back in a couple of weeks' time with the next episode of the Bevan James Eyles Show. As always, keep being you.